Cross. Lamine Yamal will keep that alive.
What if the happiest smile in football is hiding one of the loneliest childhoods you've ever heard of? Pause. Lamine Yamal, the kid who broke Messi's records, the kid who lit up the European Championship at 16 years old, dancing past grown men like they were standing still. Everyone talks about the magic. Nobody talks about the price he paid to get there, because here's something most fans don't know. Before Lamine Yamal was filling stadiums, his own home was falling apart. Before the fame, before the money, before the highlight reels, there was a boy trying to hold his family together while the whole world started watching his every move. So today, I want to tell you the real story. Not the goals, not the trophies. I want to tell you about the secret struggle behind that famous smile, the one hardly anyone talks about. Pause. Stick with me until the end, because this story is going to change the way you see him every time he steps onto the pitch. Born between two worlds. Let's rewind to July 13th, 2007, in a hospital just outside Barcelona. That's where Lamine Yamal Nasraoui Ebana came into the world. Now here's something that shaped his entire identity before he even understood it. His father is Moroccan, and his mother is Equatorial Guinean. He was literally born between two cultures, two histories, two continents. And growing up in Mataró, a working-class town near Barcelona, that mixed identity wasn't always something people celebrated. Sometimes it was something that made him a target. Kids in tough neighborhoods can be cruel, and Lamine, from a young age, had to learn how to carry himself in a world that didn't always make space for a kid who looked like him, came from where he came from, and didn't have money like some of the other families around. Pause. His parents separated when he was still young, and that's the part of this story that a lot of people skip right over. Because when you watch him smiling on the pitch today, it's easy to forget that his childhood wasn't some fairy tale. It was split, divided, complicated. But there was one place where none of that mattered. One place where the noise disappeared. The football pitch. The escape for Lamine, football wasn't just a hobby. It was an escape hatch. A place where nobody cared about his parents' situation, or which neighborhood he came from, or how much money was or wasn't in his pocket. On the pitch, all that mattered was the ball at his feet. And even as a small child, people around Mataró started noticing something different about him. He wasn't just fast. He wasn't just skillful. He had this fearless, almost stubborn confidence, like he genuinely believed he belonged on the same level as players twice his age. At just 6 years old, Barcelona's famous academy, La Masia, brought him in. 6 years old. Think about that for a second. A child, barely old enough to tie his own boots properly, already being fast-tracked into one of the most demanding academy systems on the planet. But here's the twist that changed everything. Joining La Masia meant something that most fans never think about. It meant Lamine was now spending most of his childhood away from home, away from his mother and father, living inside a system built to produce superstars, with almost zero room for a normal childhood. A childhood built inside a pressure cooker. La Masia is legendary. It produced Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, but behind that glory, it's also brutally intense for a child. Every single day from a young age, Lamine's life was structured around football. School in the morning, training in the afternoon, recovery, nutrition, tactical sessions, all before he was even a teenager. While other kids his age were out playing carelessly with friends, worrying about nothing bigger than homework, Lamine was already being evaluated, tested, and compared against some of the most talented children in Europe. Pause. And here's something that rarely gets talked about. The emotional toll of that environment. Kids at academies like La Masia are constantly aware that they could be cut at any moment. One bad year of growth, one injury, one dip in form, and a coach could decide you're not good enough anymore. That kind of pressure at 8, 9, 10 years old, it changes how a child sees the world. Lamine has spoken in small moments over the years about how much he missed normal life. Simple things, hanging out without a schedule, not being evaluated every single day. But he stayed, he pushed through it, because deep down, he knew this was his shot, maybe his family's only shot, at a completely different life. And then, everything accelerated faster than anyone could have predicted. The youngest ever. By the time Lamine was a young teenager, Barcelona's coaching staff already knew they had something extremely rare on their hands. He was moving up through age groups quicker than kids are supposed to, playing against boys years older than him, and still standing out. Then, on April 29th, 2023, at just 15 years old, Lamine Yamal made his debut for Barcelona's first team. 15. He became the youngest player to ever play for Barcelona in a competitive match. Now most people saw that moment as pure celebration, a young star arriving. But here's what almost nobody talks about: the sheer weight of what that debut actually meant for a boy that age. Overnight, a 15-year-old was expected to perform at the level of a full Barcelona first-team player, in front of tens of thousands of fans, with cameras following his every touch. Imagine being 15 years old and having strangers online already comparing you to Lionel Messi, not one day, maybe, immediately, from match one. That's not just pressure. That's psychological weight most adults couldn't handle, let alone a teenager who, remember, still hadn't had a normal, stable childhood to begin with. But what happened next took things to an entirely different level. Euro 2024, the night everything changed fast. Forward to the summer of 2024, Spain at the European Championship, and a 16-year-old Lamine Yamal was named in the squad. 16 years old at a major international tournament. It sounds almost unbelievable when you say it out loud. Pause. And then came the moment that changed his life forever. The semi-final against France. Lamine received the ball just outside the box, and with defenders closing in, he curled a stunning strike into the top corner. A goal that instantly went viral around the entire footballing world. He became the youngest goal scorer in European Championship history. Overnight, Lamine Yamal wasn't just a promising Barcelona talent anymore. He was a global name. Every major broadcaster, every magazine, every football account on the planet was suddenly talking about this 16-year-old kid from Mataró. Spain went on to win that tournament, and Lamine became one of the faces of that victory. A teenager, standing on a stage most professional players never even reach in their entire careers. But here's the part of this story that a lot of people never stop to think about. What does that kind of overnight global fame actually do to a 16-year-old? Pause. Fame without a manual. There's no manual for this, no guidebook that prepares a teenager for instant worldwide fame. One day, Lamine was a kid training at La Masia, hoping to make the first team. The next, he had millions of new followers, sponsorship offers, paparazzi outside his home, and an entire country expecting him to be the future of Spanish football. And remember, this is a kid who already grew up dealing with a complicated, split family situation and cultural pressures tied to his mixed heritage. Now, on top of all that, he had to figure out how to navigate global stardom, all while still legally a minor. Every relationship in his life changed overnight too. People who barely knew him before suddenly wanted to be close to him. Every choice he made, what he wore, who he was seen with, what he posted, became public property, dissected by millions of strangers online. Pause. That's an enormous amount for anyone to carry. And here's something that reveals just how much scrutiny he was under. Even his personal life outside football became relentless tabloid material, with intense public interest in his relationships and social circle, far beyond what any teenager should reasonably have to deal with. Imagine trying to simply be a normal teenager, while the entire world is watching your every move, waiting for you to slip up. The comparisons that never stop. There's one type of pressure that's followed Lamine since day one, and honestly, it might be the heaviest of them all. The constant comparisons to Lionel Messi. Both graduated from La Masia. Both wore the same iconic Barcelona number. Both showed flashes of generational talent at an incredibly young age. And because of that, from his very first senior appearance, Lamine was handed an impossible label: the next Messi. Think about how unfair that actually is. Messi is arguably the greatest player in the history of the sport. handing that exact comparison to a teenager before he's even had the chance to build his own identity, his own story, his own career. That's not motivation. For a lot of players, that kind of pressure has crushed careers before they even started. But what makes Lamine's story so remarkable is that instead of shrinking under that comparison, he kept performing, kept scoring, kept producing performances that, at the very least, forced people to admit, maybe, just maybe, this kid deserves to be judged as his own player, not someone else's shadow. Still, that pressure never fully goes away. Every match, every mistake gets magnified through that same lens. And that's an exhausting weight to carry, especially for someone who's still, technically, just a kid figuring out who he is. Pause. The family he fights for. Here's something that a lot of fans don't realize. Despite everything, the fame, the money, the pressure, Lamine has stayed remarkably close to his roots, to his neighborhood in Mataró, to his family even through all its complications. He's spoken about how important his mother has been throughout his journey and how much he wants to provide stability for his family now that he has the means to do so. That's a common thread among players who grew up with financial struggle. The moment success arrives, it's rarely just about them anymore. It becomes about lifting up everyone who sacrificed alongside them. But that comes with its own quiet pressure too. Knowing that your family's financial future, your community's pride, your father's and mother's sacrifices, all of it is tied to how well you perform on a football pitch every single week. That's not something a normal teenager should have to think about, but for Lamine, it's been his reality since he was still a child at Masia. And through all of that weight, he still finds a way to smile, to celebrate goals with pure joy, dancing, laughing with teammates. That smile people love so much. It isn't the absence of struggle. It's proof of resilience despite it. What comes next? So where does Lamine Yamal go from here? He's still only a teenager stepping into adulthood, already carrying comparisons to legends, already a Euro champion, already one of the most recognizable faces in world football. And yet, in many ways, his story is just getting started. The question that follows him now isn't, is he talented enough? Nobody doubts that anymore. The real question is whether he can survive everything that comes with being this famous, this young, without it breaking him the way it's broken so many wonder kids before him. Pause. Football history is full of teenage prodigies who burned brilliantly for a season or two and then faded under the exact kind of pressure Lamine faces every single day. But it's also full of the rare few who used that same pressure as fuel, who turned struggle into strength and became legends because of what they overcame, not despite it. Which path Lamine takes, that part of the story hasn't been written yet. The real lesson. Behind the smile. So why does this story matter so much beyond the goals and the records? Because it's a reminder that fame almost never tells the full story. Behind every viral highlight, every stunning goal, every trophy lift, there's usually a human being carrying weight the cameras never show you. Pause. Lamine Yamal didn't just become a star because he's talented. He became a star despite a childhood shaped by separation, cultural pressure, financial struggle, and an academy system that demanded everything from him before he was even old enough to fully understand what he was sacrificing. And maybe that's exactly why his story connects with so many people, because underneath the fame, it's a story about resilience, about a kid who kept smiling, kept fighting, kept believing, even when the world around him was anything but easy. Pause. So next time you see Lamine Yamal light up a stadium with that famous grin, remember what's behind it. Remember the boy from Mataró who had every reason to give up and didn't. Pause. If this story moved you, if it made you look at him a little differently, hit that subscribe button because there are so many more untold stories like this one waiting to be told. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.